provides 28,000 jobs to Maryland horsemen, to the state of Maryland. We have 705,000 acres of green space in crops and corn and hay to feed the horses. And also in that 705,000 acres, we have breeding farms of horses, and they nurture them, and then they come here to race. When you come to the racetrack and you know absolutely nothing about a horse, that's okay, because we can teach you. The first thing you will learn is how to walk a horse. You'll get a shank with a chain on it that goes around the nose, because it's kind of like, walking a dog. The bigger the dog, the more leverage you have, and don't be offended that I'm saying dogs. Dogs are also passionate animals too, just as a horse. They do become part of your family, and they are very compassionate animals. They become part of your family, as the groom knows. So you become a hot walker, then you can learn how to become a groom. The groom and the exercise rider are probably two of the most key factors in horse racing. The groom knows the horse. He'll take care of about 4 to 6 horses a day, every day. So he knows his character. He knows every pimple and blemish and scratch on the horse. Knows the horse's character. So if the horse is feeling bad, he'll go to the trainer and say, hey, there's something wrong with this horse. As the exercise rider. Exercise rider rides that horse every day. Just like a car. When there's something wrong with your car, you know it. If you're galloping this horse every single day, and this particular day he's off, or he's stumbling, or he's just not going right, you go back to the trainer. The trainer can make the adjustment on the training regimen, whether he wants to give the horse time off, or back off a little bit, but he knows there's something wrong. And thanks to the groom and the exercise rider to bringing that to the attention. So there's hot walker, groom, there's exercise rider and jockey, there's assistant trainer, there's shed row foreman. You can be anything you want to be on the racetrack. It's depending on how far you want to go with it. You can come on the track with absolutely nothing and become somebody, which in my case was a jockey. Speaking of which, jockey's apparel is very, very light. Anything I pass around, I wouldn't mind having back. Those are jockey pants. These are jockey colors. Where's my saddles? There are heavy jockeys and there are light jockeys. A heavy jockey will have a light saddle. This is an actual racing saddle. This is 1.5 pounds. So that holds the jockey on the horse. A lighter jockey will have a heavier saddle. Got it? It's an 8-pound saddle. These are jockey boots. There's not much to them. I'll pass them around. Again, anything I pass around, I wouldn't mind having back. Jockeys wear goggles in a race. Depending on how far the race is, if it's a mile race, they'll wear more goggles than on a shorter race. If the track is really muddy, they'll wear even more. But throughout the course of the race and the horse is running, these get dirty very fast, so they'll reach up very quickly and drop them down as the race is going. The last pair that they drop, or hope that they don't drop the last pair, but it'll be the first pair on their face on a sunshiny day will be shaded, so as they're dropping all the clear pair down, they'll be protected from the sun. If you look in the program, then you'll see horses carrying different weights. One horse will carry 122. Another one will carry 117. That depends on how many races that horse won. A horse that wins more races will carry more weight than one that is not. It also depends on age, depends on sex. A female horse will carry 3 pounds less than a male horse. An apprentice jockey will carry less weight than a journeyman. An apprentice jockey is a jockey who's first starting out. He will carry a 10-pound weight, which means he can carry 10 pounds less than the journeyman until he wins 5 races. After he wins 5 races, that weight allowance drops down to 7 until he wins 50 races. And then it'll drop down to 5 until the 1-year anniversary of his 5th race. This over here is an equicizer. This is what the jockeys practice on when they come here in the morning to get their legs and all their body parts in moving. It's very important for any rider, exercise rider or jockey, to check their equipment before they get on. So when they're in the paddock, they'll look over there. They'll look over their equipment, as will a jockey, as will an exercise rider when he's in the barn. When you're out there watching the horses gallop, you'll see that the exercise rider, his heels are down, his toes are up, his knees are in the withers, his hands are at the withers. Depending on how tough that horse is, will depend on where his hands are. Tougher horse, he might have a shorter hold. Okay, when the race is over and it's time to pull up, you'll see the jockey sometimes actually stand up and lean back. They're not really pulling hard because we don't want a whole lot going on in the mouth and hurting the horse's mouth. But it does signal him, and they're picking their head up, that it's time to pull up. This is probably the most dangerous position after a horse race because if the horse stumbles, you're going right over his head. A lot of injuries happen after the horse race because of what I just said. Also, it's important to check the equipment because if the bridle's loose and you're in this position and that comes off, you're going backwards. Any questions? All right.
Thank you.
Hi, Jess. All right. Okay, guys. Where's your tour guide?
Any questions? I have a question, sir.
Yes.
I want to go to work at the racetrack. Do they offer any classes or anything here or seminars?
We do have, just started last year, we have a groom elite program. It's usually in the summertime so that while the kids are, they go to school, so it's in the summertime, but it's at the track. It's a 4-week course, 3 hours a day, Monday through Friday. The last year we had it at Laurel. But again, they'll teach you how to walk the horse and they'll teach you how to groom the horse. And there's 3 sessions. There's Groom Elite 99, which is the hot walker section and taking care of, getting ready to become a groom. And then there's 101 and 202. 101 is being the groom, and 202 is pretty much intense.
Is there an age limit that who can come?
You can come on the track at the age of 15 with parents' written consent and a work order from the school.
Okay.
I wouldn't advise if you're in school to come at 15 unless you're doing well in school. Actually, I'm saying that. I came on the track when I was 15 under those conditions. I had parents.
Parents didn't know, I'm sure you just showed up.
I did.
Different day. Different time, different day.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what about the age limit on the high?
Huh?
What about the max age limit?
You can die here. You don't have to.